All right, hey, this is Michael from Dark Tranquillity. You're listening to Thunder Underground.
Welcome to episode 303 of the Thunder Underground podcast. Trent and Jason here as always. This week we've got a fun one because we've got Mikael from Dark Tranquillity joining us. Very cool. That's a band that we've both been following for at least 20 years, I would say.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool get there.
Yeah. I believe it's our first member of a melodic death metal band, and fitting that it is the band that pioneered the genre.
Right. I don't think you'd have it if it wasn't for them.
Right. So really cool talk with him coming up about their new album and some other stuff. We're also going to play some music. First, we got to let you know who we're sponsored by. DEB Concerts, promoter based in Tulsa that has brought a lot of killer acts to the downtown Tulsa area at the BOK Center and the IDL Ballroom. They also booked the Roadhouse stage at Rocklahoma. The show on December 12th with Lita Ford was recently canceled, but if you like Lita Ford, no worries, because April 10th, downtown Tulsa, outdoors in front of the IDL Ballroom, Queensryche will be performing with Lita Ford, Nita Strauss, and the Bullet Boys. Very cool lineup there. You can get all your ticket info, debconcerts.com. Follow them on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram as well. We, of course, will keep you up to date on any other new additions to their calendar or any other reschedules as well. So keep it here and follow DEB Concerts. Hell Hot Hot Sauce is a hot sauce company located out of the San Francisco Bay Area that makes small batch artisan hot sauces. You can check out their entire product line at their website, which is hellahothotsauce.com. You can also follow them on their socials. Both Instagram and Facebook are at hellahothotsauce. They do a lot of collaborations. They've got a couple with some metal artists, like Ghoul has a sauce called Brain Jerk, and Florida Frank from Hatebreed has a sauce called Florida Frank's Florida Heat. We've got a lot of that, and it's excellent stuff, but it'll burn your insides pretty good. So if you're interested in hot sauce, get on hellahothotsauce.com and check out what they've got. If you're on the West Coast, you can find them in a lot of stores out there as well. But get on there and tell them we sent you. Sunset Tattoo. It's a tattoo shop in Midtown Tulsa. Their tattoos are done good and proper. They're state licensed. They are mother approved. Jake and his crew have over 25 years of experience. They do excellent work. You can see photo proof of all that work on their Facebook, which is Sunset Tattoo Tulsa. Their Instagram is also at Sunset Tattoo Tulsa. If you give them a call or shoot them a message, you can set up a time to get over there, talk about what work you want to have done. If you contact them, check them out, tell them Thunder Underground sent you. And finally, Med Farm is a dispensary in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, 24683 East Highway 51, right off the highway. Can't miss them. Huge selection, and you can check it all out at leafly.com. They've got a drive-thru. If you call ahead or text ahead, they'll have your order ready right when you show up. So that's very convenient. They also give 30% of their proceeds to build no-kill animal shelters, which is a pretty badass cause that we're very happy to talk about here. If you also mention Thunder Underground, they give you 10% off your first order. They're always running other specials as well. So if you follow them on their socials, MedFarm is PHARM on Facebook and MedFarmOK on Instagram. You won't miss any of that stuff. And a huge thank you to MedFarm. All right, before we jump into some other talk, let's play some music. We've got a brand new song that just debuted about a week or two ago from a newer band. We'll talk about it when we get back here, but this is Against the Grave, and the song is Bleeding You. Left down in the way, we'll survive the future, to remain in your name. Man, I don't get any of it, but that doesn't matter, as long as they're giving it away, you take all you can. Weapons in hand, goddamn you, I can. Why make me pretend like I care? from Against the Grave. Man, what's the right word? Is that it? Would that be what Jamie Josta calls a banger?
Yes, it would be.
Or what was that you used to always say a lot of ball squasher? Yeah.
Oh, that's definitely there's definitely some balls being squashed.
Right.
And it's great. That song is it's kind of like one of those things where it's like tailor made for us.
Right.
That's just kind of right in our wheelhouse. You know, it's got that, you know, it's heavy and it's brutal, but it's also kind of got a swagger to it that, you know, what are the bands we all love? And this has got it.
Yeah.
You know, and from a certain period and era, and it makes you feel good and warm all over and inside.
Right.
Just like my peppermint bark coffee.
Right. Well, there you go, Against the Grave. You put that in your press kit because probably no one else has ever compared you to peppermint bark coffee.
It's a good thing, though. It's a good thing.
Right.
It's perfect for this, it's a brisk December morning.
That's right.
With, peppermint bark coffee and Against the Grave.
You're right. Groove metal. It's like if you had groove metal, someone like Pantera, something that made them a little more melodic.
Right.
So I would assume a Dark Tranquillity fan, even if they're not into groove metal, could appreciate the melodic aspect of this track.
Don't skip this song.
Yeah. And on top of that, this features Jordan Gaw, the vocalist from the band Final Drive, who I know we were fans of and got the chance to check him out a couple times.
Yeah. The one time I wore my Tismani shirt and he came up to me just cold, and said, "Hey, I'm Jordan, and how do you know about this band? Because I know this band." And I'm like, "Well, I'm a fucking nerd." And I look up shit, and especially if shit has a cassette.
Right.
And they had a cassette with a shirt for fat guys. So I was all over it, and I explained all that to him.
Right.
And that was really cool.
Well, I remember how you found out about it.
Oh, yes. No, you're right. There you go.
No Legacy.
No Legacy. That's right. That compilation, and I dug that, and there you go.
From Eric Kluber of Void Vader and Gypsy Hawk and a ton of other great stuff. Ironheart, who's been on this podcast a couple times.
I'm thankful for your great memory.
Yeah.
I've killed too many brain cells in my lifetime, and you picked up that slack.
Well, and to bring it all back around, at this very moment, you're wearing a Final Drive
and
hat.
that was what's fucked up too.
Final Drive trucker hat.
I just grabbed the hat on the way out of the house, and look at what's happening today.
I'm like, hey, guess what? We're going to play a song from the singer of that band.
Yep, exactly.
So anyway, look up Against the Grave on Facebook and give them a follow. They're also on Bandcamp. They've got some great merch on there. Buy this single. Their debut single came out in 2019. Check that out as well. And hopefully we'll see more music from these guys in 2021, whether it just be more singles or we get an album out of them.
Right.
Maybe 2021's due time to have Jordan Gaw on this podcast.
I would hope.
Yeah. So there you go. We'll look into that. But speaking of people on this podcast, we just recorded an interview with Austin Moe, a brand new, I say brand new, but brand new to us, artist out of California, blues rock guy. He's actually produced by Frank Hannon. He's got a great song out called The River, so check that out. We already talked to him, but that interview will be coming soon. We've also got ones with Wayne from Hatebreed, Reb Beach from Winger and Whitesnake, Christian Mikado from formerly of Il Nino, Matthew Nelson of Nelson, Frederick Leclerc of Creator and formerly Dragon Force. So, as you can tell, we kind of span the gamut there on styles, so look forward to all those. We didn't really talk about it beforehand, but before we get into this Dark Tranquillity stuff, did we have anything else to talk about? Is there any happenings this week in the music world?
Well, I know that you're super excited for the new Greta Van Fleet song.
That's right.
That dropped.
I did hear it by accident.
Right.
Whenever I had on my Spotify release radar or something.
Okay. What do you think?
It was one of those ones where it was just playing.
You were like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Huh?
And about halfway through, I'm like, it was just in the background, so I wasn't like loving it or hating it. Halfway through, I'm like, this has got to be Greta Van Fleet because this sounds like fucking Led Zeppelin.
Exactly.
And I don't know this song. And
right.
Sure enough, and it's just like every other Greta Van Fleet song. It's not bad, but it just kind of bugs me. So,
well, it's like maybe I'm weird. I've drank the Kool-Aid, so to speak, on Greta Van Fleet. I'm not ashamed of that. I don't think it's bad.
No, I mean, I like a lot of stuff that
and
piss people off, so it doesn't matter.
Because, a lot of their stuff is catchy and a lot of stuff, they got good riffs. And I'm almost to the point where I can tell a difference. It's weird. Stay with me here. I can tell a difference between his voice and Robert Plant's voice.
Oh, you definitely can.
His is just way more shrill.
Yeah.
But, this song does not help excuse me, I was about to say Led Zeppelin and Stereotype at the same time, and it came out as a lair. I don't know, because I'm talking about Primus as a guitar player, but.
Hell yeah.
It doesn't help the Led Zeppelin comparisons. That's still there when you hear this song. In spades. I thought the other song that came out earlier, My Way Soon or whatever it's called, I thought that was more of a straying away from the Led Zeppelin, because that just was more of kind of just your late 60s retro-y vibe. It was more of instead of a Led Zeppelin vibe. But on this song, I can't remember what it's called. My apologies. Because we didn't know we were going to talk about Greta Van Fleet, so whatever. It's just way more like, oh, here's our Kashmir.
Right.
And it's like, okay, God, But I have to say that I still really like that band, and I thought they were great live, so I don't care, and if you do, fuck you.
Well, did you like this song better? Speaking of Kashmir, did you like the song better than P. Diddy's rendition of Kashmir back at the end of the 90s?
Motherfucking-lutely.
From the Godzilla soundtrack.
I'd rather listen to Sex and Candy by Marcy Playground than that fucking block of shit.
That's a big statement.
Well, that's one of the worst songs ever, and I'd still listen to that more than P. Diddy's Kashmir.
What about Hey There, Delilah?
I would listen to that over P. Diddy's Kashmir.
Okay.
And then question my life, but I'd still do it.
What about, I got one for you. Pulling this one out of my ass.
Okay.
Well, I'm not, because I can't remember the damn title of the song. I can just hear it in my head. The Primitive Radio Gods song.
Oh, man. That was rough, dude. But yes, I would still listen to that over P. Diddy's version of Kashmir.
Okay. And a final one for you. Breakfast at Tiffany's.
I see you're... Huh?
Breakfast at Tiffany's by Deep Blue Something.
I always liked that song. Fuck you.
Dude,
that's a catchy song.
That's worse than Sex and Candy.
No, it's not. Yeah. It's not, actually. Because they're actually, whether you like it or not, they're putting, energy into it. Okay? And you cannot argue that.
Energy doesn't always mean
Sex
something.
and Candy was just this
Ivan Moody has energy.
Fart of a... Well, yeah, I'd rather listen to fucking... see, that's the thing. I'd listen to any Five Finger Death Punch before I'd listen to Marcy Playground. Marcy. Jesus Christ, Mike Tyson just showed up. What the fuck? Fun fact, I did have a lisp as a child.
Okay, it's coming back now.
Fuck you.
Yeah,
okay.
35 years later.
First of all. And second, my parents put me through a speech unit at school, in elementary school, and I got rid of it. Okay. But it just came back for a minute. I don't know what the fuck. What were we even talking about? Hey, Dark Tranquillity. Let's go.
Yeah. That's a good transition that isn't really a transition, but
right,
just, boom, here we are.
It just happened.
So yeah, I remember the first time I heard I don't remember the specific moment, but I heard Dark Tranquillity because you gave me I shouldn't say this out loud. It might piss them off. But you gave me a burned CD back around the turn of the century.
I see.
I like saying that because it makes me feel like we're turn of the century. But
let's go to the speakeasy.
Right. Around that, whenever it was, I would say late 90s, around 2000. Yeah, you gave me now I'm drawing a blank on which album it would have been.
It was Monochromatic Stains.
Okay, yeah.
Forgive me, I don't know the exact year. I want to say it was more early 2000s.
Okay, maybe 2001.
Possibly 2003. I don't know.
Okay.
But that's when I cannot remember how they came on my radar, but they did. I think that was just when I was really into In Flames and solo work and discovering all that.
Yeah.
So I just looked for any of that shit. So that's when they came on my radar.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was really cool because it was a unique sound, obviously, because at that point we didn't really know what melodic death metal was. Mm-mm. I mean, I'm sure I'd seen the name written somewhere on the internet or in a magazine, but to hear it and really love it, and then to see here we are in the year 2020, and Dark Tranquillity is still putting out albums that are excellent. If you haven't heard Moment, do it. I mean, this is...
Oh, yeah, it's a great record.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those year-end list type metal albums. It's fantastic from beginning to end. And when we recorded this interview, this was actually probably about a week before the album came out, a week or two. So this was recorded about a month ago, and the album just came out about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So that's why we're talking about the album coming, just to point that out. But anyway, should we just jump into it? Here we go. Here's Mikael from Dark Tranquillity. You guys already got a couple singles out. Was everything recorded prior to the pandemic, or was this stuff you've been working on this year as well?
We recorded during, I would say. We started in, what was it? March to record properly, and then all through June. So yeah, it was weird. Like being in the studio is kind of self-isolation, right? For me it's a 15-minute walk. So I'm spending all my time here preparing, writing, recording demos, and then walk to the studio and spend hours and hours and weeks and months there. So when this hit, it's like all of a sudden, like, okay, now the rest of the world is in isolation too. Like that kind of felt comforting in a weird way. But yeah, so yeah, we did the whole album, and then because of it, of course, we felt like maybe we don't need to hurry, because there won't be any summer festivals to have the album out in time for, or there won't be a US tour, right after summer as we had planned. So we might as well stay in the studio a bit longer and finish the album properly and, make sure everything is right there. And that's what we did. So it was weird. I think it really affected us more than maybe we fully realize. And it was just tough. It was weird walking through empty streets on the way to the studio, that kind of thing. I think it really, really affected us. And but yeah, music and everything else was written last year and really, really like early this year.
I mean, was the studio open and everything? Like, did you have to wait for that, or was it somewhat like studio you guys always use and you knew?
It's a studio, studio we always used, and it's owned by Martin Brännström, our keyboard player. So yes, we spent a year and a half there, writing and demoing stuff and just preparing everything. So that was easy. So that was the best thing about it. Just and being able to be here for as long as we want, work endless hours if we need to. So having that luxury and that comfort really helped.
Right. Well, outside of the weirdness of the situation, like, did it make it feel any more relaxed to not be on any kind of deadline?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like that's always the worst. Like you're like cramming it like in the last, possible hours, last couple of days. You're just like, oh, we need to get this done. No matter how prepared you are, it doesn't matter. But here we could just like, okay, we have a deadline. We work towards that, and then that it got extended, and we're like, all right, cool. We could relax a little bit and maybe redo some things, do some things differently, and it afforded us so much more. It was way more relaxed than any of our previous albums, I would say, in that respect. So that really, really helped.
This is also the first album featuring Christopher Amott and Johan. Like, what have they brought to the band touring over the last few years, and especially to this album?
Yeah, as you said, it's been touring together for 3 years. So when it was time to, kind of quit the touring and get back to work it was weird at first, like realizing, okay, we've been doing it the same way, for 20 plus years, the writing and everything like that. And it's mostly like, and nowadays it's mostly like Anders, our drummer, who starts out writing songs, and then Martin kind of joins and does a few, and then at least we have something to kind of get started. And now, working with someone else, we were kind of not hesitant, but we were kind of, we were cautious about it. We want all that outside influence, but we don't want to stray too far away from what we kind of built up over all these years. Want to keep it very much Tranquillity, but with the added bonus of two incredible guitar players. So that was a challenge, and to find that balance, between our sound and theirs. But eventually, like after a few tries, after a few songs that went kind of back and forth, it turned out to be an amazing experience of working together and figuring out how to kind of solve problems and how to place the things and kind of make the most out of everything. And of course, their lead work and solo work is just like incredible. And I think that really kind of, for me, kind of put the album on a different level than what we've done before. And it was just, incredible. And they are fucking spectacular in every sense of the word.
Do you think it was a pretty easy process as far as them keeping like their style of play and still making it sound like Dark Tranquillity?
There were a few moments, where you're sitting there and then we start kind of to work on solos where you have to go like, yeah, maybe we we take it down a little bit. Like it's too spicy, too many notes, as Salieri would say. It was just, I mean, if they are left unchecked, they would kind of shred all over the place, which would be awesome, but maybe not for Dark Tranquillity. So it was just a matter of like finding that. Do what's best for the song, do what's best for the band, and the whole thing. And I mean, they're incredibly kind of emotional and melodic guitar players, just that they really like to play super fast as well. So as long as like you kind of find that mix between the two, then we're golden. So eventually that happens, but it was but it was a lot of fun and really cool to see, and especially when you come up with an idea like me who never play guitar, and I just go like, oh, maybe you can play something like that, and they go like, yeah, sure, and it sounds beyond fucking fantastic. So it was it was awesome, super cool.
You mentioned the solos and everything. Did they have any involvement like in the actual writing process of the songs, or did you guys still kind of handle that the way you always have?
No, Johan was very much involved. Like Johan, Chris lived in New York at the time, and Johan is like 2 hours away. So he was very much involved in just like getting it right, like making sure that it's sounds the way that it's easy to play and that it feels good. So he was kind of like the guitar person that we bounced ideas off of, and then he wrote 3 songs on the album, and definitely, like he really found his place, and he's just like he can do anything. So he just really adapted really quick and realized like, okay, this is how we're doing it, and then we started. So some of the songs that he wrote was very different at first, and then Martin Brenström, who kind of produced everything, changed it and fixed it and altered things, and then eventually it sounded very much like Dark Tranquillity. So that was really cool and a super cool way for us to work.
Well, you mentioned not being able to tour, and like in this day and age where album sales are like not what they used to be, it's harder to make money that way. And now without touring, like how do you guys plan to kind of navigate this period? Or how have you been navigating it and also promoting this album once it comes out next month?
Yeah, I mean, so far it's been not normal, but at least, you're focused on like, talking like to people like you and just promoting it the normal way, But come next month, I mean, that's when we're supposed to get out there and tour and show ourselves and meet people and do all that stuff, So far it's been good, and I haven't really thought about it because it's been super busy. But I kind of expect like the fucking darkness to arrive, once the album is out. It's like, and you realize there's nothing after that. I do not look forward to that. But we're just gonna, for now, just keep busy. We're gonna do a live stream concert the day after the album comes out, so on the 21st of November. So we're planning that right now to make sure that it's super cool, and we're gonna treat it as the first show of the moment tour, full production, full crew, full everything, and just make sure that it's as cool as the first show would be. And then we have no idea when the second show of that tour will be. That's the hard part. But so we're gonna focus on that now, and then we'll see. I mean, things are a little bit different here in Sweden. They opened up for having like 300 people if they're seated. I don't know if that's even like an option for us, but at least you can actually do shows. Other than that, I honestly don't know. Like we are talking with a lot of bookers and promoters, and nobody knows. So it's just wait and be frustrated and and try to cope with it. I try to keep busy. I have a lot of other projects and stuff going, so it's that part is fine. But you want to keep the band going. You want to make some money. Would be nice too. That kind of thing. So hopefully, like a stream will at least keep us afloat for a while and pay our our crew and pay some salaries. That would be great. And then we'll see after that. We honestly really don't know.
What do you guys don't plan to have like the 300, at least 300 people there at the live stream, do you? Or is that going to be just the band?
No, and it won't be even started yet. Right at that point,
okay.
It's like a later thing that's going to come around Christmas or something like that. I think here.
Okay, gotcha.
Now it's only 50, and that I don't know, doesn't make sense.
Right,
it's weird. Even weirder, like playing in front of no one or 50. I don't know.
Right. I don't know, but I guess with 50, at least have a little bit of crowd interaction to go off of. Because I've talked to some people during this that said they did live streams, and at first it just kind of felt like a rehearsal until they kind of got into the mode of playing. But.
Yeah, I've seen a few like where you can have like tables where people sit and actually get served at their table, and then maybe it works. And I don't know. Yeah, it would be good to like have some kind of interaction, like someone to look at while you're playing instead of the other guys in the band. But we have plans to just have like a full-on production with, full of smoke and lights and all that stuff. So maybe I won't see anyone anyway, and I can just imagine in my head that there is a huge crowd out there somewhere.
Right. I mean, obviously, with recording an album, you've kind of still been singing, but without doing live shows. Like, how do you kind of keep your voice during a period like this with, keep it fresh and everything?
Oh, I practice a lot, and then and actually record a lot of stuff as well. Like you do demos for other projects and other bands, and stuff like that. And also we're rehearsing now for the stream. So that's fine. Like I'll keep in shape. It's good, and I kind of like it. And also it's fun to just like sit at home and just record stuff, and maybe record different version of old songs or whatever. Just do something, get it out of your system.
Right.
I do need to scream, once in a while. This world is pretty screwed up right now, and I just need to vent the frustration out.
Do you have any kind of warm up process that you do before recording or going live?
Yeah, I do. Like it's just like part of to calm down and to kind of relieve some stress. But it's a warm up technique that I've been doing for years and years. That takes like a half an hour to 2 hours sometimes, depending on how you feel, but it really, really, really helps. Like when I discovered that, and when I learned like some of those techniques, it really changed everything for me. There were a few years where I was just destroyed every tour. Like I was screaming too much, and my body couldn't keep up. But now it's super fine. Like I never have a problem with it as long as I do that, and that's just like. It also kind of calms you down and kind of makes you less nervous about the show. Like if you know that everything's going to work and you feel okay and like the voice is working, then you can kind of relax and focus on it instead of being super nervous all day, which I used to be. So yeah, those things are important.
A friend of our podcast named Luke Nagel wanted me to ask you, besides metal bands, of course, like what's your biggest influence when it comes to pop music? Because I've always felt like there's been a big Depeche Mode influence.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like that's what I grew up on. There was the in Sweden, like in the mid '80s, when I was like 12. It was you're in school, you're either into metal or you're into like synth. That was it. Like, and you're either one or the other. That was the thing. And And if you're into metal and you see a guy that is into synth, it's a fight. It was that kind of deal. And so all the cool guys were carrying around, their cassette decks and their, what do you call them, like ghetto blasters, whatever, tape recorders, that kind of thing, listening to Iron Maiden, and the synth guys were listening to DAF and Kraftwerk and Depeche Mode and stuff like that. And I was kind of in between. I loved Maiden and I loved Depeche. And I don't know, there was something about like that. The odd kind of nature of synth and the kind of like super underground synth that some of my friends were into, that I really, really gravitated towards and I loved. But then, of course, metal was also fucking fantastic. So it was weird to be a part of both there for a while. But it's always, something that stuck with me. And a lot of like the 80s bands I really, really love. And that I guess, something that you really love when you're like from 12 to 17 or 20 or something like that, it's that it just becomes your thing, right? You're like, it's those formative years like mean so much, like more than you are willing to admit, I guess, that kind of really forms who you are and what you like and what you're into, and that kind of music, and of course like, super extreme metal at the same time was it for me. That's how it started.
Well, where do you draw influence from these days when it comes to writing your own music?
Ooh, it could be anything, like anything that I find kind of emotional or something that, catches me, like, or that makes me feel something, There's so much metal that it's just cool and awesome and sounding great, but it doesn't really kind of, at the end of the day, it doesn't make you feel anything. And as long as it's that, then that's what I love to listen to. And for inspiration, I kind of look towards bands that are just different, like doing something that I wouldn't do, or something that is very different from our style, because then I can enjoy it and kind of take some inspiration from it. Whereas sometimes when you listen to, just regular like death metal bands, you go like, I'm so much into this kind of writing mode, where I deconstruct everything that I listen to and kind of pick everything apart. And it's like, oh yeah, man, maybe they should have done this or that. And I don't like the production of the guitars or the vocals, whatever. And I don't want to do that. It makes it impossible to really enjoy stuff. So it's better to listen to something that is so far away from what we do in order to find kind of influence and just inspiration, basically.
Yeah. Well, something we've had throughout the years that we've had this podcast, we've had on a few bands from Sweden, and I've always asked them the same question, which I've got generally the same answer, but it's like, throughout my life, anytime I've ever heard any band from Sweden, no matter what the genre, it's like, it's always great. Like there's no like, that band's okay. But it's like, so what do you think attributes that to like such a plethora of great music all across genres coming out of Sweden?
It's a good question, and I've been asked similar ones before, and I don't know if I have a good answer, but I do agree with you, because many of my favorite bands are from around here, and the overall quality is always fantastic. I think I was talking to like at a radio station yesterday, trying to explain like what it is about Gothenburg in particular, and the way I see it is that like all the bands from here are extremely or very like honest and kind of forthright and kind of open about what they do. It's not, like, we kind of suck, but if we put on an act or if we try something different or we try to kind of act cool, it's just, no, this is it. This is who we are. This is very kind of raw and honest and kind of, it's like, I don't know, like it's sympathetic in a way where the bands are not trying to be anything. They're just like, this is what they love to do and they do it super well, and I really like that. Like all my friends who are in bands are like super laid back and just like, we don't take anything for granted. It's not about, becoming something you're not. It's just a matter of like writing great music, having a good time. That's it, like expressing something, being honest about it and being real about it. And I think that is something maybe unique to Scandinavia, just because that's the way we are. And also in the music scene, I think the bar was set really high even back in the 80s, with some of the cool bands and some of the rock bands and metal bands and everything like that that came out, and it's like, okay, so at least you have to be as good as that or better, And I think that's always been kind of the case where everyone it's not like you want to top anyone or be better or cooler or anything. You just want to be as good, and because of that, the bar is always raised a little bit. And I don't know, like for me, it's kind of honesty in the music that I think that is what I like the most about the Swedish bands.
Well, yeah.
Is that what everybody said, or?
I kind of along those lines, but a lot of people would say that since music's such a focus in school early on, and like here, like in America, it's more, you just got to choose to go into music, where in Sweden, it's just kind of part of everybody's lifestyle from an early age.
Yeah. It wasn't like that for us, but it's definitely like more the case now, where you get a decent kind of like a quick music education in school, and then there are rehearsal rooms, there are places where you can go and play. You can get some funding from the state to actually kind of rent a room where you could practice and borrow instruments and all that stuff. So there's definitely like a easy kind of starting point. Like the threshold is not that high. It's just it's easy to get into if you want to, for sure. And that, of course, that helps. And back in the day when we started, there were even rock contests, where you can actually play in front of a big crowd on a big stage with awesome sound, and just for 3 songs, every week during the summer. And it was this was like a dream for us and for many other bands. Like that's how kind of Hammerfall started, and we played there twice, and there are many other bands like that, just because wow, you could actually do that, and you can get seen and you can get noticed, if only for a weekend, but still, it was kind of encouraged to be in a band and to kind of do something with it. And it was a hugely popular thing in the like late 80s, early 90s, and so many bands that I know were part of that, and so that definitely helped.
Was that the kind of thing, like it was something you had to get picked for, or a contest, or was it kind of like an open mic style thing where you just show up and
No, you have to kind of apply for it, but you don't have to. You don't have to send in a submission or anything like that. You're just chosen, and there were hundreds of bands every year. But it was a lot of fun. Like I went to all of them just to see cool music, and sometimes there was some metal, sometimes there was just something else. But it was incredibly cool to see, and I think it really, really kind of charged the scene and the music scene in Gothenburg for at least for those 10 years or something like that when it was going.
A couple of things you mentioned earlier. One was that you've got a lot of projects you're working on, and then you just mentioned Hammerfall. Have you ever considered doing anything similar to like a full power metal style record as a throwback to what you did with Hammerfall?
No. I mean that old school power metal or like traditional heavy metal has never really been my thing at all. So when when we did that was just for fun, or at least from my side, it was just for fun. For Oscar Dronjak, it was deadly serious,
right.
But for me, it was just like, let's do it. Let's put on the leather pants and just go nuts. This is awesome. But and it was so much fun. But for me, I could never do that. Like that's not my scene.
Right. Well, what else is there anything else that you can talk about that you are working on?
Yeah, no, not really. But there's one band. We're doing like a super old school death metal project with a couple of friends, and it's called Grand Cadaver, and we have an EP coming out in it's probably like February or something like that. But we have a single coming out in November already, and it's just like pure simple, like it was in the early 90s in Stockholm and Gothenburg, and it's super fun just to kind of write something really fast, record it over a weekend, just like we did back then, when we recorded a demo or something like that, and just like not a lot of preparation, not a lot of like thinking about it, just like this is what we want to do, go for it, and you take all that all the experience you have over the years and you do it kind of again, in that way. It was fantastic. And the drummer is from Catatonia, and the guitar player is from Tiamat, and bass player from Intoxicate, and guitar player from Nova Rupta. So it's just like a super bunch of great guys, and us doing old school death metal. Fucking amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time with me today.
Cool, man. Thank you very much.
There you go, Michael from Dark Tranquillity. A huge thank you to Tim of Atom Splitter PR. And of course, a massive thank you to Michael for taking some time out there to talk to us about the brand new album Moment from Dark Tranquillity, as well as some other great stuff. And speaking of that, on our YouTube channel, at The Thunder Underground, we did a review on Moment the week before it came out. Most of our reviews on there are, we just listen to it once and then talk about it. I'm sure if we did a review now, it'd be a little different because I've listened to this album several times. But regardless, check that one out on our YouTube channel. And something else I wanted to mention is that I asked that question in there that our buddy Luke Nagel had brought up about Depeche Mode. And it's just funny because, we've heard Dark Tranquillity for going on 20 years like we talked about earlier. And even though it's just kind of obvious after he said that, but it never hit me until he said that.
Right.
That's an amazing comparison.
Yeah.
It's like Depeche Mode mixed with like heavy ass music, Yeah. And it's, it's kind of cool that, Michael agreed, and that's one of his bands. So it makes it even more obvious, I guess. But once again, check out Moment if you have not yet. It's fantastic. And speaking of our YouTube channel, subscribe to it at The Thunder Underground. We've got other reviews from the new, what did we do recently? The new Hatebreed album, the new Napalm Death album a couple months ago, the new Metallica Blu-ray a couple months ago, the new Alter Bridge EP. I know there's a few other things in there I'm forgetting recently, but subscribe so you don't miss any of that. Most of the stuff on there is different from our podcast, but if you're a first-time listener, we've got 300 plus episodes now you can check out. We recently had on Paige Hamilton of Helmet, Michael Spreitzer of Devil Driver. Going back, we had on members of Guns N' Roses, Crowbar, Def Leppard, Megadeth, Testament.
John Corabi.
Yeah, just last week.
Shit.
One of my favorite singers, John Corabi. Another one of my favorite singers, Glenn Hughes. Can't say John Bush or Chris Cornell, but maybe one day we'll get one of those. If we get the other one, that means that we're doing a podcast from the afterlife, and that's probably not a good time.
Right.
I mean, at least for
I don't know.
us here. It could be.
It could be.
I guess if I'm talking Chris Cornell, it is a good time.
You never know.
Right. But yeah, all of our podcasts are pretty much anywhere podcasts are heard. So wherever you listen, subscribe or follow so you don't miss any of them. You can also listen off our website at thethunderunderground.com. You can also buy merch there. You can also hit us up on any of our socials, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Follow us there as well. You can email us, thethunderunderground@gmail.com. It's not hard to reach us, basically, in whatever form or fashion you see or deem fit. So, all right. Like I mentioned earlier, coming up, we've got Christian Mikado of Il Nino, Wayne Lozenak of Hatebreed, Frederick Leclerc of Creator, formerly of Dragon Force, Matthew Nelson of Nelson, Reb Beach of Winger and Whitesnake, and a few others. So be looking out for all those. And once again, a huge thank you to Tim from Atom Splitter PR, Hell Hot Hot Sauce, Med Farm, Sunset Tattoo, and DEB Concerts. And until next time.
As a big podcast fan, I hate when when there's a bad sound quality. It's like, oh, fuck.
Thunder Underground, y'all.